A king went for a walk on the roof of the palace. While walking, his eyes fell on the roof of the house near the palace, on which a very beautiful woman was drying clothes. The king called one of his maids and asked, "Whose wife is this?" The maid said, "Your Majesty, this is the wife of your slave George." The king came down. The beauty of this woman was on the king. This made the king even more curious. He decided to play a little trick. He called George. When George appeared, the king gave George a letter and told him to take it to a faraway king and bring back a reply. George didn't know the king's plan. He rushed back home, leaving the letter under his pillow, spent the night at home, and left for his destination in the morning. On the other hand, as soon as George disappeared from sight, the king secretly reached George's house and gently knocked on the door of George's house. "Who is George's wife?" The king said, "I am the king, the owner of your husband." She opened the door. The king came in and sat down. George's wife was surprised and said, "Today the king is here in our poor house." The king said, "I have come here as a guest." George's wife understood the king's meaning and said, "You're coming in this way, in which I do not see any good." The king said in anger, "Oh girl, what are you saying? Perhaps you do not recognize me. I am the king, the owner of your husband." George's wife said, "Your Majesty, I know that you are the king. But the elders have said that, no matter how hungry the tiger is, it does not start eating the dead. And they said, Your Majesty, you have come to drink water in the bowl in which your dog has drunk water." The king was very embarrassed by the words of this woman and left her and went back but forgot his slippers over there. All this was done by the king. Now George halfway remembered that he had left the letter which the king had given him at home. He quickly turned his horse back and galloped towards his house. George reached his home. While taking out the letter from under the pillow, he saw the king's slipper lying under the bed, which he had forgotten in his haste. George's head was spinning, and he understood that the king had sent him on the journey only to fulfill his purpose. George quietly left the house without telling anyone. He left with the letter and returned to the king after finishing the work, and the king gave him 100 dinars as a reward. George went to the market with dinars and bought expensive clothes for women and some gifts. After reaching home, he greeted his wife and said, "Let's go to your home." The wife asked, "What is this?" He said, "The king has given the reward, and I want you to wear it and show it to your family." "Wife, as you wish." The wife got ready and left for her parents' house with her husband, son-in-law, and daughter, and they were very happy to see the gifts they would bring for them. George left his wife and came back, and even after a month, neither asked for his wife nor called her back. After a few days, his brother-in-law came to meet him and asked him, "George, tell us the reason for your anger and displeasure with our sister, or else we will present you before the judge." So he said, "If you want, do it, but there is no right left for me that I have not paid." Those people took their case to the judge. The judge called George. The judge was sitting next to the king at that time. The girl's brothers said, "Respected judge, we gave a verdant garden, trees full of fruits, and a well of fresh water to this person. So this person destroyed our garden, ate all the fruits, cut the trees, and damaged the well and closed it." The judge turned to George and asked, "Yes, boy, what do you say about this?" George said, "I have returned the garden which was given to me by them in a better condition." The judge asked, "Has he returned the garden to you in the same condition as it was before?" He said, "Yes, it has been returned in the same condition, but we want to ask him the reason for returning the garden." The judge said, Yes, George, what do you want to say about this? George said, I did not leave the garden because of any reason or hatred, but because one day when I came to the garden, I saw the marks of a lion's claws in it. So I was afraid that the lion would eat me. So I stopped going to the garden because of the lion's respect. The king, who reclined, was listening to all this, and he sat up and said, George, go to your garden in peace and contentment. By God, there is no reason for it. A lion came to your garden, but he could not leave any impression there, nor could he break a leaf, nor could he eat any fruit. He stayed there for a while and returned disappointed, and by God, I have never seen such a strong garden wall as yours. So George returned to his home and took back his wife as well. Neither the judge nor anyone else knew what had happened. Is it better to hide the secrets of your family so that people do not find out? Do not reveal the secrets of your homes to anyone.